Ladies and gentlemen,
what you gonna do, brother?
Oh yeah!
Woo! What?
If you smell what the rock.
You got the wrong guy. I'm the dude, man.
Welcome to another edition of Around the Turnbuckle. My name is the Big Albowski. His name is Professor Keith. And we have Dorian Robinson, who is originally from New Orleans, but he's in Texas. He's on the road. He's traveling from Houston to Amarillo, but he's kind enough to join us on the road. How you doing today, sir?
I'm all right. How y'all doing today?
We're good. We're off and running. We understand you wrestled last night. How'd that go?
It was good. It was a good experience to be there with some of my friends from Pro Wrestling 225. I got to see them. That was the first time I saw them in about 5 years now.
Wow. And so you're on your way to Amarillo. Are you on your way home, or are you on your way to another thing?
Yeah. Now I live in Amarillo, Texas now. So that is where I'm located at. So that's where I'm going.
Are you anywhere near the Double Cross Ranch? There's a certain segment of the fan base that's going to kick me if I don't ask.
No, I am not. But I did when I was working. I was working for funny story. I was working for Toot and Totem, and Terry actually came in to my store, and I recognized him right off the bat. And he was like, "Is it that obvious that it's me?" I was like, "Yes, it is."
I mean, it's Terry freaking Funk. Come on.
And I didn't want to. I didn't ask him for a picture, but I just told him where the boot company that he wanted to go to was. And that's what he asked me. Where he was like, "Can you show me where this boot store that he wanted to go to was?"
Nice.
So you gotta go starstruck about somebody who's that legendary. You know, when you throw around the word legendary in this business, Terry Funk fits the bill.
Most definitely.
All right, man. So tell us who Dorian Robinson is. Let everybody know, what's your story? When did you start wrestling, and what were your influences that got you into wrestling in the first place?
Well, one of the major influences that got me into wrestling was my grandmother.
All right.
My grandmother, I was about, I want to say 8 or 9 years old, and I walked in and she was watching wrestling. She was flipping between WCW and WWE, WWF at the time.
Yep.
And she was like, "Let me tell you something. Don't be going in the room flipping off my sofas and beds like this, because this ain't gonna happen." And I fell in love because I saw who did I see? I saw Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy jump off the ladder. They were replaying. They were rewinding a pay-per-view that they did, and I saw him jump off the ladder into it was Bubba. It was Bubba Ray Dudley. And it looked
that sounds like probably Royal Rumble 2000.
It had to be, because that I was like, ooh. I said, yeah, I like this. So, and I think after that, I fell in love with it. Like right after that, I fell smooth in love with it. The biggest influences from back then were Jeff Hardy. Who else was there? Goldberg, The Rock, Stone Cold, Shawn Michaels, Triple H, Mankind. Like, there were so many people that I liked back then. Undertaker used to scare the living daylights out of me. I used to go run. When the light go up on the TV, I used to run behind this little wall that my grandmother had, and I used to peek my head behind it just to make sure he came out already. And then when he came out, I would go back and sit down and watch wrestling.
Yeah, man, that sounds like my story almost. Only you ended up being a wrestler. I didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, no, my grandmother got me into wrestling when I was a kid. It used to be a secret. And because my mom didn't want me watching it, she thought it was too violent. So I would stay at my grandma's house on Friday nights and watch Saturday morning cartoons, and then watch Superstars of Wrestling and Wrestling Challenge on Saturday mornings. And that had guys like Hulk Hogan and Macho Man and Roddy Piper and Ultimate Warrior, you know, and guys like that. So Iron Sheik, Nikolai Volkov, those guys. Andre the Giant. But anyway, so when did you where did you go to school, or did you go to school to be a pro wrestler?
Yes, I went to Voodoo Championship Wrestling. Shout out to let me say this. Shout out to every school that's in Louisiana, from Wildcat to Elite, Voodoo, which is no longer running. And I called all of the Hurricane Pro when they're still out there. But I went to Voodoo Championship Wrestling, ran by Brian Monroe Miller and Stan the Man, and Rodney and Jazz used to come up and help us because they were coming. Rodney used to always be there, and he was the champ at the time, so he would help us. It was a good experience, but the thing was, I didn't learn anything. I didn't learn what it truly was to be a professional wrestler until I went to Pennsylvania, and I studied under John Patrick Trotsky at the Sanctuary Stunt Studio. I tell you, that man broke me down.
Having a little technical difficulty here, it looks like.
Yeah, he's lagging. Can you hear me, Dorian?
And Ray's the good part, too.
And
Yeah, I lost him, Keith.
nope. Yeah.
All right. I guess we're gonna filibuster a little bit, see if Dorian can come back. Or
Yeah, he'll give it his try. Let me all tell you all something about Dorian Robinson. Like he's been texting me all day long, guys. He's been texting me all day long, saying that he was hoping that his trip from Houston to Amarillo was over by 6 o'clock. Obviously, he's still on the road. He might have hit some traffic. So like a couple of hours ago, he texted me, he said, hey, he let me know the situation. He also said that he's going to do whatever he possibly can to come on and honor his appearance, because that's the kind of guy he wants to be. He said that he had not showed up at something in the past, and he automatically, boom, just one time, and that gave him a bad reputation. So I want to help him try to honor that. And just him trying to come on, Keith, tonight was a big deal for me, because I'm glad that he even tried, because, you know, I wanted him to be safe. I want him to have a safe ride home. It's an awkward situation. I thought he was going to maybe pull over in the car. Plus, driving from Houston, Texas to Amarillo, Texas is probably not the best internet in the world. You know, you drive past Fort Worth, but I mean, you know, it's not the best internet in the world. It's a rural highway he's on.
yeah, as far as I know, it's a pretty rural area out there. I mean, I don't want to potentially piss off anybody in Texas, because obviously I'm no expert on Texas Wi-Fi or anything like that. But yeah, I'm fairly confident in saying that Amarillo is probably somewhere around the sort of rural areas and dead spots we get here. Alan and I had gone to a show yesterday, and on the way back, The way I usually use to go from Quakertown, Pennsylvania back to where I live in New Jersey, there's a stretch of highway that's about 5-10 minutes. And I mean, it's a rural area, but you would think it's developed enough. And yet it's a 5 to 10 minute complete dead spot. And there are houses there. It's a residential area, but there is no internet whatsoever in that particular spot. My phone just dies.
I'm gonna give a shout out right now to AJ, who's tuning in with us. He's watching football at home, and today is his birthday. Happy birthday, AJ!
Oh, happy birthday!
So we'll see AJ on Tuesday. We will be joined momentarily. I just got a text from Dorian that he is not coming back.
Okay.
So Dorian, if you're watching, if you're listening, we will have you on soon, and we'll talk to you soon. Have a safe trip home.
Yes, you honored us by trying to show up. We're going to honor you by rescheduling you.
We will
if
reschedule
a special day or something to make it work. We'll do it.
We will reschedule you ASAP. So I'm sending the link now to Alan. We're going to switch gears, and we're going to talk Alan's idea, and I think it's a good one, and it might take up a good portion of this hour, and that is, thanks, brother. I don't know if that's to you or me. You said happy birthday, too.
I would like to both.
John Saft. Hey, John Saft. What's up, man? Hey, so John Saft, Corporal John Saft, is going to be on with us in a couple weeks, Keith. He's going to be not next Sunday, but the one after that, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, John. But, yeah, we can't wait to have you on, John. It's going to be fun. In case you just joined us, it was to both, Keith.
I thought so.
In case you just joined us, our guest, Dorian Robinson, was on. He tried to be on, but he is on the road, and he's in a bad internet area. So we're going to move on without him. And I am going to welcome my son on, who had a great idea for a show as a backup plan, just in case Dorian could not join us. So, Keith, just give me a second here. Talk if you want.
So I'm just trying to pull up, because we're talking about, geez, this list is really stretching on some of this. So we're talking about doing horror gimmicks and sort of the best horror gimmicks, and some of these are just, this list I have is weird. There's people kind of scratching the really trying to scratch for some of this stuff, and it sort of feels like you don't have a deep history of things. I mean, yeah, I think you could just go to Memphis Wrestling and look at some of the stuff Jerry Lawler did, because Jerry Lawler is a big horror movie fan and things like that. So when Lawler would be booking, you would get literal stuff like Lawler wrestling the Frankenstein monster, or Lawler wrestling a mummy, or something like that. Speaking of wrestling a mummy, what is it with mummies? Like, they've come back in a lot of different places, not just Lawler. Cornette had to have a mummy in Smoky Mountain. Everybody makes fun of him for that, but no worries, Dorian. No worries.
No worries, Dorian. No worries, brother. We will have you on ASAP. You did text me that you might want to be on November 8th. I do have a guest booked that day, so we're going to figure out another day, brother. John, November 1st. Thank you. Yes, John is on November 1st. So we will see John on November 1st. Corporal John Saft. And I can't wait to talk to him. Thanks for checking in, John.
Yep.
Joining us live via my basement is is the little Big Al back with us.
Yeah.
What's up, Al?
On the fly appearance, because that's how reliable I am.
He's very reliable, Keith.
Yes.
He's reliably unreliable.
He is.
Yes.
Would you like to tell everybody? Would you like to tell the professor and myself your idea for your backup topic?
So it's very unfortunate that Dorian couldn't be on. I mean, he's traveling, but I was thinking that we have Halloween coming up, and I know an upcoming episode around the Turnbuckle will feature you guys discussing Halloween Havoc and its history.
That's the Halloween special with special guest Mark Mest, and hopefully the professor joins us after Trick or Treat.
tonight
Yeah.
as a
prelude, the special start time.
As a prelude to the Halloween special, I believe we do a pre-Halloween special. I think it'd be interesting if we discuss perhaps a history of horror gimmicks, because some gimmicks in the history of wrestling were designed to be sort of scary. You know, like the original Undertaker, for the Wyatt family, the Brood. Maybe a Papa Shango, Kevin Thorne. People like that. So I feel like it'd be kind of interesting. I mean, you could throw Sting in there if you want. I think it'd be interesting. Honey Annie, I think it'd be interesting if we discuss perhaps some horror gimmicks and perhaps some iconic moments, how successful we think they were, how over they were.
I love it.
Yeah.
So I'm calling this the best and worst horror gimmicks, because there were some great ones and there were some not so great ones.
Yeah, I feel like we should start in the past and work our way up more to the recent. Obviously, I think the most recent horror gimmick would be the Fiend. So I guess we work our way up to him from the beginning. So where do you think we should start?
Go ahead, Keith.
Yeah, I mean, the first ones that I know of are Memphis, mostly, because Jerry Lawler was a big horror movie fan and stuff like that. And when Lawler would book, Lawler's booking was always, I'm the guy, obviously. I'm the guaranteed draw in Memphis. And his style would be, I need to find monsters to come in and fight. I need giants I have to slay, villains I can kill. Yeah. And Lawler would have a lot of fun with that, of like taking to somebody and saying, okay, you're going to be the Frankenstein monster and I'm going to beat the Frankenstein monster. Or you're going to be a mummy and I'm going to beat the mummy.
Yeah.
And there have been, like I was kind of saying before you came on, there's a lot of instances of mummies when you think about it, in places where you would be like, why? I mean, Jim Cornette had to have a mummy, but that was because his financial backer, for whatever reason, wanted a mummy, and that's kind of what got Jim Mitchell.
Yes, he did, TJ.
Yes. Where Jim Mitchell got his start managing, Prince Terrace. And thankfully that was not on national television, or Universal might have sued if they cared at that point. It was the 90s. But that was kind of the first place I can think of that anybody sort of did that. I suppose you could mention guys that were more blood and guts wrestlers. The Sheik, the original Sheik, obviously very notorious for that with his spike. You could talk about Abdullah the Butcher.
That's what I was going to say.
So, all right, Abdullah the Butcher's the first one that comes to mind.
That's what I was thinking in terms
because
of
he was blood and gore before there was blood and gore, before there was ECW and things like that. Abdullah the Butcher was that guy. Him and the Funks and
Terry did that later in life. When you look at in the NWA, Terry was very much a straight wrestler.
To help us along, I pulled up the top 30 horror gimmicks in professional wrestling history as voted by the fans on a website called WrestlingFansided.com.
That sounds very credible. I'm sure there are great articles.
I'm sure it is. It's on the internet, so it must be right.
It must be absolutely right. So we don't have to talk about each one for a while, but I'll go through each one and we'll see what you guys say. So number 30 is the ECW Zombie.
Yeah, I was saying, hand this one to Keith. Let Keith discuss this.
You know what, though? I'm going to give that guy a ton of credit, because that guy took a one-off appearance, and I think he got 2 years of indie shots out of it. So you know what? Good for you, brother. I think he's actually passed away since.
Yeah, it was portrayed. The Zombie was portrayed by Timothy Calkins Jr., and he came out to the ring covered in dirt. Right. And raggedy clothes. In case you never saw it, you could look that shit up. We're not making this up.
This happened.
The ECW Zombie.
Yeah,
the ECW Zombie.
Great gimmicks.
His first
I
match.
wish I could blame it on Russo, but I can't.
His first match in ECW was on Sci-Fi, and he won quickly and handily. Wow. Okay. So anything else on him?
No, I mean we got 30 guys who go through.
Like I
so
said,
think we
I already put him over for he got maybe 2 years of indie bookings with that.
Yeah, I
gimmick.
mean we got what 30 spots to go through here. I'm sure we can say a quick thing unless it's a wrestler who deserves more.
Correct. So number 29 they have listed is Leo Rush because Leo Rush in CZW, which we've interviewed guys from that, Keith.
Yeah.
His gimmick in CCW was a horror gimmick. He debuted as a persona called the Blackheart, in which he came down completely covered in black, and he came out to the song "Paint It Black" by Ciara, and he would slowly creep out to the ring with just like a creepy, like a Finn Balor demon kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
I mean, I don't know.
This is like indie shit your son can't even defend.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we can really say much about that. So we don't really know much about that. I mean, we all we know about Leo Rush. This is very, tainted run in the main business. So he's not. He's small. So he didn't really get very far.
Well, I mean, he's a cruiserweight.
There's that where he was small and he had some mental health issues that were.
But a lot of the guys that we've interviewed, like the JT Funks of the world, want to wrestle him.
Well, of course, because he's great. He's really good. He's a really good performer if you watch some of his older stuff. And I know I hate to bring it up, but he did have some pretty decent matches on 205 Live.
He did. He did.
To the 5
NXT
fans who watch
too.
205 Live.
NXT he had.
Yeah. Well, NXT, yeah, of course.
All right.
I
So
think he's a guy that he has a spot, and I've said the whole small thing to me is stupid. That's just the problem of Vince has a bias, and that's why I think there needs to be more promoters out there that will challenge his biases and stuff, because it's not a good idea when one person runs everything, because their taste is going to run everything too.
Yeah.
So I don't know who this is, but you got to accept the StreamYard terms in order for us to see who this is.
No, it's the entirety of 2NML.
Oh, so it's like Chrissy, right?
Maybe.
It's probably Chrissy. Sure. Hi. Speaking of former CCW champions, Chainsaw Joe Gacy is next on the list as number 28. He was also in CCW. He was there. He was the CCW equivalent of the Joker. All right. His gimmick was completely insane. He carried a chainsaw to the ring. And that's all I know about that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if we can say anything about that one.
Yeah, I just find the idea of guys carrying chainsaws and weapons to the ring they're not going to use to be pretty silly.
Keith, so the next one is, here's a name that Waylon Mercy.
I do remember Waylon Mercy, Dangerous Danny Spivey. One half of the skyscrapers.
I see this week Alan has a weapon.
Whenever I'm recording the show, I always brandish a weapon just in case I'm ambushed in the basement.
Yes, my bad. Okay, Chrissy, we got you.
Branding iron?
It's a pool cue.
Maybe a branding iron for some reason. I think it's the poor lighting.
I mean, it could be a branding iron. Oh, if you light it up a bit.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, we
got
got
it. Dad doesn't want you starting fires.
Something like that. Yeah. Yeah. So, what do you know about Waylon Mercy other than that he was somebody else?
I know that is probably the most well-remembered early 90s WWE gimmick that they just didn't do anything with. If I remember correctly, and somebody stop me if you're listening to the show and I'm wrong. I think what had happened was, because I know they put a lot of time and effort into that gimmick. I remember the vignettes. I remember that he was somebody that had that aura to him of this is going to be somebody when he debuts. I think Spivey got hurt, and that kind of screwed everything up. Is that Spivey got hurt, and there were some contract problems, and Spivey was not exactly like Sid, but kind of similar in that vein of like, I'm going to grab as much money as I can grab whenever I can grab it.
Alan, your weapon.
I don't necessarily
Yes.
care about really being here long term.
So, Dan, in case you guys don't know, Dan Spivey was a wrestler in WCW and WWE. He comes over to WWE and he did lots of different things. He was mostly a tag team wrestler for the most part. But he when he the Waylon Mercy, I hated the Waylon Mercy gimmick from the moment it started. I wasn't behind it. It's not like when Bray Wyatt first started the Bray Wyatt thing, because obviously, you know, he was Husky Harris before that or whatever. But when Bray Wyatt started that, I was like, wow, this is cool. I want to see more of that. I didn't have that vibe with Waylon Mercy.
So this list of 30, I'm assuming it's across all wrestling history. It's not just limited here. Yeah.
It's they're doing indie guys too, so yes.
Yeah, but it feels like it's very much the 90s and forward.
Yeah, I feel like
Leo Rush is the 90s.
Well, I feel like
they said the 90s and forward. He's forward.
Yeah, I feel like once we get down to the lower numbers, we'll probably see more recognizable.
Well, the next name on the list is Damian Priest.
Okay, well,
that's a stretch.
This is one I can talk about. I mean, Damian Priest, I wouldn't say he's a horror gimmick. He definitely gives like he definitely gives off the like. I mean, kind of, but not like he's not scary horror, but like you know, he's the.
Well, listen. Before he was Damian Priest, he was Punishment Martinez.
Yeah, I remember.
And Punishment Martinez was like a bad, like a villain out of a Mad Max movie.
Yeah, I mean, Damian Priest is pretty good. I mean, you know, rather than bring Baron Corbin back to NXT, they had to get somebody. So you know,
if he's not a horror gimmick, he's
almost like a Jesse Ventura.
You know, got a mystique to him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, with the fire and the boat,
like that's got a lot of elements of. It's got more elements of that, like I'm so pretty, I'm so great, you know, sort of thing going on with him.
Yeah, but that's the thing. He came in as a heel, and when he was a heel, he had a mystique about him. Then they turned him face, and now he's got that "I'm the greatest thing in the world, I'm so beautiful" thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know much.
Mankind has to be on this list, or it's garbage. Patience, my young man.
Patience.
Yeah, we're going from the bottom of the top.
It's a virtue, man.
We're going from the bottom
near the top. I riot.
Yeah, and we're not
I'm right
too long
with
on
you.
each guy.
The next one on the list is Jimmy Havoc.
Jimmy Havoc, I would consider because I mean he's definitely more recent. I mean, no longer with AEW. He was there for a cup of tea. Jimmy Havoc, you know, more of a deathmatch guy. He's
a total deathmatch guy.
Absolute deathmatch guy. So they brought him into he was with AEW with them for, you know, up until about a month or two ago now it's been. He they didn't have much to do with him in AEW because again, he is a deathmatch guy and there's not much you can do other than if you put him in a regular match, he's not going to do very much. I mean, in each match he's been in so far, he's done something extreme. I mean, he stapled Tommy Dreamer's nuts at the first Double or Nothing, and that was kind of funny. But other than that, he didn't really do much. But in terms of death matches, yes, he's very good at trying to kill his opponent. So
the next one on the list, you guys are not going to know much about because I don't either. But I have to mention it because it's interesting. I wasn't aware of this, but maybe Keith is. The next guy on the list is Freddy Krueger.
Yeah. I think they used the name in Japan. Or he was one of the generic Weathers.
Doug Gilbert, who is the brother of Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert.
Yep, worked as Dark Patriot over here in the States. That's probably where people might remember him more as.
Well, he was also an ECW Tag Team Champion, and he was Mid-South Heavyweight Champion. He goes over and wrestles for Wings in Japanese.
They're a Japanese deathmatch promotion. They were
Correct.
Yes.
And
yes.
he played the rip-off Freddy Krueger. I mean, with the sweatshirt, the gloves, the mask, everything.
Horrible mask. One of those horrible. If you ever saw the Freddy Krueger mask in the 90s that you would get on Halloween for what, like maybe $10 or something, and then just the ugliest, most hideous, most knockoff things you could see. That's what Doug Gilbert was working. If you go on YouTube, you can find this stuff.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, you can find. I mean,
Japan was very big on ripping off.
Just look up Wings. Look up Wings. WINGS Wrestling Japan.
Yeah. If you watch those Freddy Krueger matches, you could just tell you after making a movie like Dream Child, you really let yourself go. I mean,
is Dream Child really the worst thing you could come up with? I mean, there was
in
Freddy's
that series. I think it is.
You know, you wouldn't put Freddy's Dead as the worst.
I'd rather watch that over Dream Child myself, personally.
So the next name on the list is, and we're at number 20 in case you weren't keeping count, is Jimmy Jacobs, who is a producer in WWE now. But when he wrestled for Shikara and Ring of Honor, he was a bloody freaking bastard.
Yeah.
Another hardcore deathmatch kind of guy, took on guys such as Colt Cabana, and he had a feud with BJ Whitmer. Again, you can find all these matches on YouTube also.
Jimmy didn't have to just be deathmatch. Jimmy could work too. I've seen some of that stuff with Jimmy Jacobs and BJ Whitmer and whatnot. I mean, those guys could go.
And he now works for WWE in the producer role.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So the next guy on the list is the Moth Tribe. Have you heard of those guys?
I have no idea.
What that is.
So it's a brother and sister duo in Lucha Underground.
Yeah, Harry probably knows.
No wonder I haven't heard of it. I think I watched half an episode of Lucha Underground and I was like,
I watched the first 3 episodes, and all I remember, I watched like the first one is the only one I actually really watched, and all I know is, Johnny Mundo was pretty good.
Johnny Mundo, yeah, remember him?
Yeah. Now he's throwing his career away and WWE
right.
else.
So the Moth Tribe is Marty the Moth Martinez and his sister Mariposa in Lucha Underground.
Okay, well, I don't think any of us ever watched Lucha Underground, so we can't really say much about that.
Most people didn't watch Lucha Underground. That was their whole problem.
Interesting fans did.
Struggling for how they got 4 seasons. But then again, almost nobody had the El Rey network. So
because like I don't know if a wrestling show combined with a Telemundo soap opera sounds very interesting to me.
Right.
I mean, because I think the network was going after a specific audience. Yeah. So I think they looked at it as this will be good niche programming rather than trying to say like, we're going to be a national company like certain niche programming does now and tries to masquerade as a national company.
Yeah, I mean, some of the work was good in there in terms of the matches themselves.
Yeah, I mean, you had great workers there. You had, Johnny Mundo. You had Frank Puma, that's Ricochet. Yeah, I never faulted the work they had. It's just, I think they were trying to blend 2 different things together that maybe didn't go together.
If only they did a more appropriate blend, like show tunes and wrestling, that'd be a lot better. But, I'm pretty sure.
Moving on. Number 18. Number 18 is The Abyss.
Okay, I can say a little bit more about that one.
Abyss, definitely.
Classic all-time TNA guy.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I would definitely peg him as one of the cornerstones of TNA.
Easily.
Unfortunately, not a guy that always made the best career choices. He actually almost worked with The Undertaker back in the early 2000s, and he, blew that deal off. And I know there was one point where they wanted him to stop being Abyss, and he was like, no, I'm married to the Abyss character. I want to do this.
No,
and he hurt him.
He was TNA's Undertaker, so
He was TNA's answer to the Brothers of Destruction. So
to a degree, yeah.
Well, I mean that was their version of that, and I mean he I didn't realize this. He debuted in TNA in 2002, and he ran rampant all the way up to 2019.
Well,
Well, he
early
also had a
2000s
stint where he was in the WWE too as a producer.
Now,
but I think he also had something
now he
before
is.
that too.
Yeah, I mean,
he had high-profile feuds with
2010 TNA was their best era.
He had feuds with Kurt Angle, Sting, Christian Cage, Judas Messiah,
all the TNA guys.
Yeah, Raven. I think he wrestled AJ a couple of times.
Yeah,
the next guy on the list is number 17 is Killer Cross, aka
Karrion Kross, now in the NXT. Unfortunately, had to relinquish his recent title win due to an injury.
Right.
He's good. He's very good. I mean, his match against Keith Lee, I thought was pretty good.
It was awesome.
I think
it was
sucked.
No?
I'm sorry, I thought it sucked. I mean, and yes, I'm not as high on the guy as
Harry.
A lot of other people
Harry,
are.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, Harry, for instance.
He's very.
He's not watching, so we can mention his name.
Yeah, we can make fun of him for being hard for Karrion Kross.
But they didn't click. It didn't work. It was not a great showcase for either guy. I thought that was the beginning of NXT going downhill.
Yeah.
I do agree with Keith to an extent that he's kind of hindered by Scarlett. Like Scarlett, it seems like when his entrance is more about Scarlett, and
once Vince gets more of a look at him, Jim Cornette said it, and I know I'm going to get heat for mentioning his name, but he's right. Is he looks at it and he goes, "This is going to be Mark Marrow and Sable all over again." Vince is going to drool over Scarlett and want to push Scarlett to the moon. And Karrion Kross is just going to be, oh yeah, that other thing over there, Because I mean, I'm sorry, but I look at him and he doesn't stand out to me right now. He's the guy in black tights, black trunks, bald head that makes grimaces. His facials are good, but I'm not really seeing anything out of him that's unique, that stands out from any other guy. And there's a lot of problems with that lately, with a lot of guys that get to NXT or AEW, or even WWE main roster for the most part, is it seems like everybody is coming out of the same school or the same cookie cutter idea of, oh, this is how we wrestle now. And it's like, when you all do the same things, nobody's going to stand out and nobody is going to get over.
Mm.
All
right, number 16 is Vampiro.
Yeah, Vampiro, more can be said about Vampiro. Classic. Very classic. I mean, I can't say much about his older stuff. I mean, most of what I saw of Vampiro, well, he was a commentator for Lucha Underground, I remember.
He was, and he, I think he was with Impact for a short time, right, Keith? Like as far as a commentator goes.
Yeah, towards the end of his career. I mean, he had a long run in Mexico. He was a member of the Misfits rock band, which is probably his biggest claim to fame.
Yeah.
He wrestled in WCW for a while, which that is kind of a definition of hit and miss. That run,
right. If you want to look up his WCW matches, might be a little bit better than his matches in Lucha Underground. If you want to look up Vampiro,
more of the early stuff. Stay away from the 2000 stuff. Russo was booking that.
Match.
We all know how that went.
His best match in Lucha Underground, it says here, was against Pentagon Jr. in a death match.
Of course it was, because Pentagon Jr. is amazing.
And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention a former guest on this show as a honorable mention, Rebecca Payne. Just saying. So Rebecca, if you're seeing this, you're an honorable mention in the horror gimmicks because you are the queen of the death match. All right, so the next bloodthirsty bastard on our list, you will know, and you will talk about, I'm sure, is Gangrel.
All right, wait. Before we get into Gangrel, I'm just going to say you're going to honorable mention the Queen of Deathmatch. We're not going to honorable mention a certain other fairly reoccurring guest.
Sure, Robert Everett.
What's up, Robert?
You mean Prince Shango?
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, if he might get a little mad if you don't mention him. I'm just saying.
He's trying to get away from being the scary gimmick guy, though.
I know.
My idea.
Listen,
Listen, you guys jumped the gun on me. I announced Rebecca now when we were like mid-list, right at the 15 mark, and I was gonna mention Shango more towards the top 3, but you guys jumped the fucking gun. So Shango, if you're watching, these guys put you down in the fucking bottom of the list where I was trying to elevate your ass to the top.
Okay,
Fuck you, trying to get over with Shango.
Yeah.
I don't have to get over with Shango.
You act like the man's stupid and he's going to buy into that shit. He knows.
He's probably mad that I'm wearing a Brick House t-shirt.
He probably is.
But I'm supporting Brick House because Brick House we went to go see Triple WA last night. It was a great show down in Quakertown. We saw the Brick House Club grow. We also saw the Hat Guys stable grow to big proportions with one Malcolm King. So
that was called Deliverance.
That was a great show. Yes, I love the name, the Hat Guys Deliverance.
Begging for jokes.
So what number was Gangrel?
Gangrel is 14.
All right. Gangrel, obviously the leader of the Brood. I always liked Gangrel. I mean, I thought it was cool how he would rain blood upon his opponents.
Yeah.
And, I mean, the Brood, he had Edge and Christian. I think for a while it was
the Hardys,
wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, I mean, the Brood was a really cool gimmick. They were really freaky guys. When they came out, you were kind of intimidated because they all wore sunglasses, had long hair, were, vampires. It's kind of freaky.
Gangrel still wrestles to this day out in the Indies. And one of our recent guests wrestled him. Was it Frankie Picard, Keith?
I think it was.
Yeah, recently wrestled Gangrel and said that he was like awesome.
Yeah,
Gangrel's a real journeyman, and I really don't understand.
No, it was Urban Legend, I think.
Okay, yeah, and I really don't understand why he was never utilized more fully anywhere, because like Alan said, I thought the Brood was a good gimmick because it was unique.
It was
different. It was eye-catching. I mean, those are guys that it seems to me like, yeah, you're not going to, push them to the top in a company where you had The Rock and Steve Austin and Undertaker and just the loaded roster that WWE had at that point. But to me, if we can't find a spot for them consistently, I thought there was something wrong with them. I thought they did not get anything close to what they could have got out of that guy.
I thought he might have been hindered by how over the Undertaker was at the time, because to have another gimmick like that where it was darkness and there was blood and the cool freaking music, and they came up out of like a ring of fire he's holding a goblet and it's him and the Brood, or that time where they dropped down on top of the Hell in the Cell, like
winged creatures flying into the arena.
Yeah.
I mean,
it was very a hat on a hat. I mean, I like it because I like both acts, but very much awesome. A hat on a hat when they did that, and thankfully they realized that pretty quick and spun them back to being their own thing. But yeah, it just seemed like they lost interest, and I don't understand why they didn't keep Gangrel around longer, because it felt like
I loved it.
That was a guy that could almost be like the Godfather. He was there. It matters. People like it. They react to it. So why not keep it?
Here's a question. Before I move on to the next guy, does Gangrel belong in the Hall of Fame? The WWE Hall of Fame?
They put everybody in there, so probably eventually.
Yeah, I was going to say, the smart aleck answer is yes, because Vince McMahon Sr.'s fucking limo driver is in there. So let's again stop acting like this is.
Yeah, but will they do Gangrel or the Brood?
Vince McMahon loves personally. Body of work in WWE, I would say yes, in kind of the Coco Beware.
Well, I mean, he was Vampire Warrior elsewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, they don't base it on elsewhere. They base it mostly on
really?
WWE and can you sell a ticket?
Oh, really?
Yeah,
So why did the NWO get fucking in when they're
They
they had
can sell
nothing to
a
do with?
ticket. You're not going to buy a ticket to watch Hulk Hogan, Scott Hall, and Kevin Nash take a microphone and ass off.
I'd rather buy a ticket to watch Gangrel come back and wrestle. Yes.
All right, we're at the 45-minute mark. I don't know if
We're
we
at the
can-
45-minute mark. We got 13 names left.
We can't go too crazy with each name here.
Kevin Thorne is next.
I always thought he was a kind of lesser Gangrel, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought there was something there. I mean, especially when you had, Shelly Martinez with him, who was just smoking hot. I thought that was one that got kind of hindered by they put him in ECW where
Kevin Allen.
Sorry, my phone fell. I thought I had it up. Good lord, that was out of nowhere.
All right,
go
so
on.
we're not saying much about Kevin Thorne. It was
there's not really much there to say. He was around for a minute and kind of like Gangrel, you cut him off before he could really maybe find himself.
The next one I have mixed feelings about, and that'd be the Boogeyman.
Yeah.
And he's
I
coming to
really
get you.
like the Boogeyman gimmick. I like the entrance. I like the creepiness of him.
Yeah,
But his in-ring work was terrible.
He's a shit worker.
Okay. No, the Boogeyman was. I think he was a mixture of. He was definitely a horror gimmick, but he was also in a way the goofy gimmick. He was the goofy gimmick. Like, he couldn't work at all. He was the cool entrance. I'm gonna make my opponent eat worms. He was. He would. Didn't he like?
And Vince thought that was great.
Didn't he bite someone's mole off their face? I forget who
yeah,
which.
Jillian Hall.
Yeah, Jillian Hall.
Like tumor they put on her face. Because there was nothing much you could do with him. Like Cornette talked about that in OVW when he came up with the gimmick. Is the way he would book him was he would say, "Look, this guy is an escaped mental patient. He's not a wrestler.
Albowski's lost it.
He's the actual boogeyman." He thinks he's the actual boogeyman. So if you see him, he's not supposed to be here. Run away.
He's coming to get you.
Pull security. Let security, take him out.
Yeah,
because there's nothing there. Once the entrance is over and the bell rings, nothing pleasant is gonna happen. It's gonna be bad.
Yeah, he was a horror / goof gimmick. So I mean, that's about all I can say about him.
This one's all right. This one, you guys might disagree that it was a horror gimmick, but I agree totally because I fucking hate clowns, and that'd be the evil version of Dork the Clown.
The evil version of Doink, I can see it because it was supposed to scare you. It was supposed to creep you out. It was supposed to make you mad. So I can see it.
I mean, one of my favorite matches of all time was Doink versus Evil Doink. That was a great match.
What was really fucked up though, and I don't think a lot of people have seen it, was Born Again in ECW, where Matt Bourne had like his face half painted Doink, and he would sometimes wear the Doink head with the wig and like half of the suit or something. It's really fucked up.
My favorite Doink moment was WrestleMania 9 when he took on Crush, and there was 2 Doinks.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, but I most people shit on that, but I thought it was the most hilarious thing I ever saw.
Well, hey, don't forget, didn't they have they had a midget battle royal? I think at some event, I think it was.
No, it was a Survivor Series match where it was Doink and
Doink
the
and
Little Doink, yeah, Little Doink.
Yeah, Doink, Dink, Wink, and Pink versus Jerry Lawler and his little kings. Cheesy, Queasy, and Sleazy.
One of the greatest matches of all
time.
And
if you guys don't believe us, look that shit up. Survivor Series.
Go to Survivor Series, pour yourself several drinks, and try to get through it.
I can't believe that. Jerry Lawler, Queasy, Sleazy, and Cheesy. The best one is the promo right before that match where Jerry Lawler tries to be serious and his little kings are being jerks. So he slaps Cheesy in the back of the head. He says, "Come on, Cheesy, this is serious business."
Yeah. Oh, okay. Can we not just keep discussing this? This is ridiculous.
No, we're in the top 10. We're in the top 10.
Top 10. These are the top 10 horror gimmicks of all time.
Top 10 horror gimmicks as voted by the fans.
I wonder who number 1 is.
I know. Number 10 is the Crow version of Sting.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm surprised he's not higher. So, yeah, obviously Sting is probably the most notorious. I mean, one of the most notorious WCW guys of all time. His just being up in the rafters, he's watching, it's creepy. He'll occasionally come down and beat you with a baseball bat.
Yeah, and you never know what's gonna happen with him.
Yeah, he was definitely a very one of the most entertaining aspects of like in the history of wrestling. I always feel like the horror gimmicks are like they're the oddities, they're the macabre, right? So they get your eye. Like right now in WWE, a lot of people say the Fiend is the only thing they got going for him because the Fiend is the macabre, horror guy. The Undertaker was he's different, he's not just a wrestler, he's scary. Look at him, like
yeah.
So that's why
Me too, TJ.
And Sting was that. And
everybody
in WCW
Sting found himself.
In WCW, you have all these guys who were just wrestling, and then you have that guy, that creepy guy. He's watching you. He's in the rafters. He's creepy. He's
Well, when the WWE brought him in, when the WWE finally got him and brought him in for WrestleMania against Triple H,
he was old.
What did they bring him out as? They brought him out as the Crow version of Sting.
Of course they did.
Like.
Because that's the only way Sting got over. Because Beach Bum Sting never really got over.
No,
because it was so silly and hokey. Listen to the lyrics of this theme song. The man called Sting, and at one point it literally says he does this, he does that.
Called Sting. That's a great shirt, Al.
It's a skeleton man.
It's far out. All right, so number 9 is Leatherface. And I know you guys aren't going to know who that is because...
No, I know who that is.
Yeah.
You know who that was? Who was that?
I know who that is.
Who?
That was, in the most famous version, and it actually got him drummed out of a business, was Corporal Kirshner.
Corporal Kirshner, that's right. Corporal Kirshner, over in Japan, is a ripoff of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre villain, Leatherface, over there.
He got drummed out because he took it a little too seriously one time and tried to, shove a guy's head through a bed of nails or some shit.
It's not Leatherface's fault. He was the villain. He's being controlled by his evil family.
So number 8 is the aforementioned Abdul the Butcher.
Yes. Didn't he used to make the refs double count the guy when he would pin them?
No, you're thinking of King Kong Bundy.
King Kong Bundy. Well, Abdul the Butcher. Every match he was in, there was always blood somewhere.
Modern wrestling fans know when they think hardcore, they think ECW, right? They think crazy bastards like New Jack or Terry Funk or Mick Foley. Before those guys even were doing hardcore shit, Abdul the Butcher was doing that shit all the time. If you could see older pictures of Abdul the Butcher, he's a bald guy, right? And he's got scars after scars after scars on his head where he was busted open. How many times?
Yeah. And he's a Mike Tyson guy. If you ever hear him talk, it just fucking ruins it. That's why he never talked. Abdul could do damage with just a fork. That was a guy that would come out and you were just scared of a fork because of the shit he could do with a fork to somebody.
Number 7 is Psycho Sid when he was Psycho Sid, probably just because he came down to that music and he was an insane person. Yeah,
he was supposed to be nuts.
We weren't going to mention Abdul the Butcher's electric chair. I thought that was pretty good.
That's going on the Halloween Havoc show.
Yeah, we'll save that one.
We're going to be talking about the Chamber of Horrors on the
Halloween Havoc show. You guys save that one for that because that's going to be a fun discussion. But Psycho Sid.
What's wrong with the way Mike talks?
Oh, Mike Tyson.
Oh.
You got that high-pitched voice, I'm going to kill you, and I'm going to make orphans of your children.
Yo, Shango does a great Mike Tyson.
Yeah. I think I would say Psycho Sid's most notable match was against Taker at Mania, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's certainly very infamous because everybody keeps checking his tights because allegedly he shit himself during it.
That's another story. All right. So... Kevin, number 6 is Kevin Sullivan, leader of the what were they called? The Dungeon of Doom, Keith?
The Dungeon of Doom, he also had, that was basically his staple in Florida, was get a bunch of freaks together. Go look up the video of him with the purple haze. When he introduces the purple haze, you will not be disappointed. I promise you.
Yeah.
Sullivan was a guy that had such believability. People used to call the police when he would be on the show, and they would try to find out his address because they were convinced he was a Satanist. There are still people to this day that swear Kevin Sullivan is a Satanist, and he's not. But yeah, they bought it. They bought his gimmick, hook, line, and sinker.
Number 5 is an obvious top 5. I think he should be higher, but number 5 is Bray Wyatt / The Fiend.
Yeah, a whole bunch to say about that one. We don't have the biggest amount of time to
Well, go ahead.
But
No, just go ahead.
Okay. Well, obviously he got his start as a part of the Nexus. I mean, he was in NXT, but when the Nexus came in, he was just himself as Husky Harris, and obviously he didn't really get anywhere. But then they brought out this. They started putting up those. I remember watching with
the vignette.
They put up those vignettes for the Wyatt family. It's like, who the fuck is this?
Right.
Like, this is creepy as shit. Some backwoods redneck fucking creepy cult shit. And they come out over instantly. The Wyatt family was instantly over. Like everyone, the Fireflies in the crowd. Like that
cool
gimmick.
Music. Our boy Mike Brill uses his old entrance music, the Wyatt family entrance music, as his alarm when he gets up in the morning.
I think he had a very successful run as that character, and then near the end of that character, you know, he went away for a while. I think after teaming with Matt Hardy, if I remember correctly, and then and he got buried.
That's what killed him.
Yeah, he got buried by a very special person.
So the next guy, yeah, Joe, let me in. Yes.
Well, and then obviously he was repackaged as the Fiend and is now the most over thing in the entirety.
And right now he's the most over guy in the company.
Yeah, very.
He's different.
Yeah, I don't think
gets over.
I don't think we have to say much about the Fiend. He's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah.
To the modern audience, number 4 is Papa Shango.
No, he should be under the Fiend.
I believe the Fiend should be above him, but Papa Shango.
Yeah, Papa Shango was there to be fed to the Undertaker. That's what. No, I'm serious.
I know you are.
That's really what the point of that gimmick was. Is it's somebody to match up with Warrior, match up with Taker, to be fed to them, and then once he was fed to them and they beat him, that was the end of him, and they needed to repackage him.
And they did.
And they did, in a comma, and then ultimately into, the Godfather. But that was a gimmick that was just designed
to coming downstairs, right? Yeah. All right, so the top 3, I completely agree with, and I completely agree with their order. So number 3 is Mankind.
Yes.
Yeah.
Number 2 is Kane.
Yeah.
And number
1 is John Cena.
Is The Undertaker.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we could. I don't think we could talk about.
We could do a whole show on each one of those guys.
We could do a whole month's worth of shows on those 3 guys. I mean, The Undertaker, obviously, we don't. We'll be here till midnight discussing The Undertaker, especially with Keith here.
So, anybody watching in the last few minutes, if they left off a horror gimmick that you absolutely loved, throw it our way and let us know, because I pretty much think they covered. It might not have been in the right order, but they covered pretty much the best horror gimmicks.
I think they forgot
the original Sheik should be on there.
They forgot
the original Sheik.
Sheik should be on there.
They forgot Will-O-the-Wisp. That's bullshit. He belongs on there.
Will-O-the-Wisp.
Brother Nero, I knew you'd come.
Brother Nero, I could give you. I could give you Broken Matt Hardy.
Matt Hardy.
I would count that.
Matt Hardy when
he's pretty
came out with it. Sure, you could make a case for that.
If they put Damian Priest on there, I'd put Broken Matt Hardy
any of the guys we just mentioned could be on there over Sid. Should be on there over like a Damian Priest.
Yeah, I mean, Matt Hardy. Broken Matt Hardy, very I think it's pretty freaky. I mean,
He
Boogeyman
was in
on
there,
it.
Joe.
He was in
Joe,
there.
Boogeyman was earlier. Boogeyman was like in the 20s somewhere.
I mean, I'd be pretty freaked out. It's Matt Hardy with a condition. Very terrifying.
And I mean, when he first came in, you know, he was using kind of those elements. I mean, then he gets, you know, Rebby in it, and Rebby is like this Bride of Frankenstein, or Willie Munster, you know, like an evil Willie Munster.
Yeah, you had Brother
sort of
Nero,
situation there. Yeah.
you had the whole family was involved.
Right. So I mean, I give it up to you early on, like when
Senor
you
Benjamin
a flat heel, or just after he converts, you know, Jeff into Brother Nero and all that. That can be considered a horror gimmick.
I'm still trying
Again,
to
Joe, Earl, we went through the top 30. Sting was mentioned, I think, in the teens somewhere.
Oh hell, he was
now,
top 10.
Now we're just
number
saying
9.
it's bullshit that like Sid and Damian Priest are on it.
I know. I broke him out, Hardy. I think I'm still trying to figure out whether or not I should go with chair of wheels or mower of lawn to this day.
Oh my God. And with that, well, we're just about done.
The hour mark.
Alan, number one, I want to thank you 1,000% for popping on here when we lost our guest, Dorian Robinson.
Yeah, we needed some idea here.
And you coming up with this quick idea. We're getting close to Halloween, the best and worst horror gimmicks. All I did to contribute was pull up a list I found on the internet.
I was looking at that exact list when I was looking for ideas when I was up there. I mean, I figured it'd be a nice prelude to the actual Halloween special where the Big Albowski, Professor Keith dig into the history of Halloween Havoc, one of the classic pay-per-views featuring excellent matches.
Listen, guys, this Saturday on Halloween night, after you trick or treat, come hang out with us for an hour, because at 8 o'clock on a special time, 8 p.m.
Very scary time.
My guest will be Mean Mark Mest, and hopefully Keith will be joining us as well. And we are going to talk about the one and only Halloween Havoc. Now, WWE tried to bring it back as a special episode of NXT. I really think it should be its own pay-per-view in October. That's my opinion.
For the love of God, kill Hell in a Cell and put Halloween Havoc on it.
Yes.
Do it.
Oh,
do it now.
Do it tonight. Joe.
Just call it Halloween Hell in a Cell.
Just start over, man. Just start over in the beginning.
Yeah,
you'll catch it.
Tap that button on the bottom and scroll it back.
Yeah, just scroll it back. Anyway, this Saturday, special time, 8 p.m., me, Mark Mest, and hopefully the Professor are going to talk Halloween Havoc. We're going to talk the best of Halloween Havoc, and we're going to talk the worst of Halloween Havoc.
Yeah, I'm already making a list.
So it's our Around the Turnbuckle Halloween special.
Yep.
This Saturday at 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
Tonight on Ciphered Knowledge with Chrissy at 8 o'clock, she is going to have, Keith, are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
A sexual coach.
Nice.
So anybody watching, you
how excited you get about this stuff?
You got relationship issues. You have personal sexual issues. You have any kind of questions about that subject. I'm sure that she'll answer them. And Chrissy's is really looking forward to talking to her. And I guarantee you it's going to be a much watched and much questioned show, because all of you out there know damn well that you got questions. And I know damn well you're going to be tuning in for that one. It's going to be a really great episode of Ciphered Knowledge with Chrissy tonight at 8 o'clock.
I want to ask how one does get into that profession. I'm quite curious. I mean,
ask her. Also, Wednesday at 8 o'clock, Spitting with Spinner, as usual, 8 o'clock. My boy TJ checked in all night tonight. Thank you for that. And like I said, Alan, thank you very much for popping on at a moment's notice, and also for the subject.
Yes.
It was a lot of fun, and that hour went by like that.
And of course, we had a whole list of fun, interesting characters to go through.
Oh, we got a last-minute comment. Keith, you got any parting gifts?
Like I say, other than I would have loved to have seen that list include some of the more old school gimmicks. I always lament that I think it's terrible that people say I'm a wrestling fan, and yet what you really are is you're a WWE fan or you're a 90s wrestling fan. You don't so many people don't bother to look at the history of things. They don't bother to look back and realize
what network
was done before.
If you purchase the network just because you can get the pay-per-views for $10 each, that's a dumb reason to do it, because go back, look at your old wrestling history, especially if you're 30 and under. Alan, go back and look at. No, my son actually does it. My son actually.
I just want to say that list didn't include the Dark Order. This is a rigged list. AEW.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. They didn't include Dark Order. I bet you whoever wrote that list watches Cornette every goddamn podcast.
They should.
Yeah,
they should learn so much.
Yeah, they'll learn that every match is trash unless it starts with a headlock.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you Halloween night at 8:00 for our Halloween Havoc special. Tune in tonight at 8 for Ciphered Knowledge with Chrissy. That's the Big Albowski. He's been Keith, and that is Little Big Al, and we will see you next time.
Ladies and gentlemen, what you gonna do, brother? Oh, yeah! Woo! What? If you smell what the rock...
You got the wrong guy. I'm the dude.